This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by Freaking.com.
September 29th, 2020. I have this theory that liberty activists in New Hampshire are sort of moving back into a period comparable to the 2010 era. I used to call it the Keene Spring, or the New Hampshire Spring, when we were filling Central Square downtown in Keene with hundreds of people united in civil disobedience against excessive government regulation or rules. And in the case I'm thinking about, of course, that was marijuana freedom. But it seems like around 2014, things started kind of slowing down. You sure didn't see very many liberty activists in jail anymore, but we also weren't getting as much press where there wasn't as much activity. But it seems like that's kind of coming back, symbolized, maybe not so perfectly, by the massive publicity that a liberty activist got by winning the Republican nomination for sheriff in Keene, Cheshire County. But in a sense, we're in a second New Hampshire spring now, in other ways anyway, and we already were since really April, probably, maybe March, as evidenced by the hundreds of people, almost record numbers, maybe record numbers up to that time, who descended on the State House and united civil disobedience against stay-at-home orders and bans on large gatherings. You know, and like the 2010 era peak in activity, this is a peak of activity, or starting to become a peak of activity, that coincides with an economic depression of some kind, or recession. Probably both the 2010 problems and now, they probably both qualify as depressions. Somebody said that we've been in a long-term depression in the U.S. since roughly the 60s. Because the normal definition of a depression is a reduction in purchasing power on the part of the head of household. But of course, most people think of depressions as breadlines. Well, we have those too now. There's even one at Starbucks. Something else someone was pointing out is it's actually normal for, fiat money printing binges to result in an economic boom. It happens initially, but then you have the huge hangover that lasts longer and does more damage than the good that came out of the boom. And so we're in a period like that right now in comparison to what's going to follow, probably. And yet, this so-called, it's not even called a boom this time, this period that should be economic growth because they're printing so much money, in a normal environment, that's what the result would be. It would be short-term economic growth. Well, all we've got, actually, is just sort of a treading water environment. That's a sign of just how bad the hangover will be when even while you're drunk, you don't feel good. Unrelated news. I've been interviewed by the founder of CalExit, or maybe the guy who runs it. I think it's two different people. Marcus Ruiz Evans? I don't know which he is. Anyway, he interviewed me for his show, but it didn't get very much. The YouTube version of the interview sure didn't get much traffic on YouTube. Maybe he's being suppressed like I am on YouTube. Very comfortable and enjoyable person to talk to. I'm not sure how you find it. Just Google it. Dave Ridley, CalExit. Ruiz Evans interviews Ridley. I don't know. When I say suppressed, I mean a lot of people are having their YouTube hits suppressed, as you know. I've also been trying to keep you up to date on the latest attempts to suppress Free Talk Live, the syndicated talk radio show that comes out of Keene. As I mentioned earlier, their chat server, their Discord server, was suddenly shut down by Discord with only a generic explanation, at least initially, as I guess Discord joins the ranks of the censor mongers like YouTube. I never liked Discord to begin with. YouTube used to be great. But now Free Talk Live has reconstituted on this thing called chat.lrn.fm. Actually, I don't know where that takes you or what it leads you to, but I guess the idea is that it should allow you to call in at a higher audio quality level and without having to have a Verizon account or something. More news to follow as I find it. Sorry, this is a little short. Long story.
What are you arresting this man for?
You've seen the dramatic liberty arrests in Keene, New Hampshire. Now see 111 reasons why you should move there and reinforce these gutsy activists. Keene's advantages are compelling, and the list of reasons to move has just been updated. For details, visit freekeene.com.